It is day 10 of the federal government shutdown. Here's where things stand. Yesterday, the Senate tried but was unable to pass a funding proposal from either side of the aisle. This marks the 7th time senators failed to move a short-term spending bill one step closer to the president's desk. Electronic fund transfers or direct deposits for federal workers are scheduled to be sent today. Federal employees who receive pay through direct deposits will miss payments for October work. This shutdown has now lasted longer than 13 previous shutdowns, with just 7 shutdowns stretching longer than this one. Let's bring in NBC's Washington correspondent, Alice Barr. Always good to see you, Alice.
Good morning to you. Always good to speak with you.
All right, so no votes expected in the Senate today and none scheduled now through Tuesday. Is this not much urgency from either side in getting this resolved, or is there just a lot of work still that has to happen behind the scenes before something can move forward?
I think it's the latter. I think that's the reality here. There have now been a series of votes attempted and failed on the Senate floor, and it seems clear that nothing is changing in that department, so perhaps a futile exercise. But what would be useful would be to get some real and serious negotiations going between the two parties. And the best that we can tell right now is that there are a lot of individual conversations going on across party lines, individual senators speaking, Democrats speaking to Republicans, the same in the House, vice versa. But that the actual top party leaders have still not gone head-to-head, sat down and made any headway since it's been more than a week now since they had those kind of discussions. So that is what has to happen to get the government reopened, to get at least a vote, you know, that would make any kind of sense to have back on the Senate floor. There has to be some indication that there's a reason that the state of play has changed and that would advance. And as long as you don't have the major principal players speaking to each other, it's hard to see how the conditions are right for that.
Sure. So we're going to hear a little later today from Speaker Mike Johnson. Yesterday, he seemed to sidestep whether he supports President Trump's threat to fire furloughed federal workers. Is this now the new battle line being drawn in the shutdown?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that President Trump and other Republicans have indicated would be possible from even before the shutdown took effect, that they would use this time to cut more government workers. And you're right that Speaker Johnson didn't really address that. He kind of skirted around it. He did say that he and other Republicans are limited government conservatives and that they think there's too much inefficiency in the federal government, that it's too large and does too many things. These are things he said frequently. But he did defend government workers as well. He said there are programs that probably should be eliminated, but we want federal workers to be protected. And then he pivoted to what has been another issue raised, the idea that furloughed federal workers, those who have been sent home without pay, that they might not be paid after the shutdown ends. That's something that President Trump has raised as well, saying it would depend on who you're speaking about. And Speaker Johnson noted correctly that the law guarantees federal employees receive back pay at the end of a shutdown. So he did assert himself there in a way that differs from some of what the president has recently indicated.
Alice, a big development we're following here in Georgia. Democrats now rallying around Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, a known very conservative Republican. Now she is criticizing GOP leaders on the health care issue and the raising of premiums. Before we go, how much traction do Dems hope to get from this?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've been hearing it a lot. You've been hearing a lot of Democrats pointing out what Marjorie Taylor Greene has said. I think her name has been uttered by Democrats, you know, in a flattering way more than probably we've ever seen. She is a known, you know, conservative voice who's very vocal on Capitol Hill. And the fact that she is now using her voice to say, hey, this is a problem, that these Obamacare subsidies are set to expire, that people are going to really feel it. Deductibles are going to double, she said, in the case of her adult children and many of her constituents. And so her putting her voice out there, it certainly gives Democrats something to point to and say, this is not a partisan issue. Just look at this prominent voice within your own party.
All right. Alice Barr, always a lot to talk about and always appreciate the time. Thanks a lot.
Yep.